Greetings, glad tidings. I just wanted to share a quick message with you. There's a lot of arguments and, teachings and things right now in this moment that are people who are portraying that they are, I'm going to use some of the words that are being used, ascending, vibrating high 5D, this and that, or just maybe old school vocabulary. Their spirit or their alignment is fully aligned and they're on a higher spiritual level than most, which it may hold some truth to all of those statements. But when you're still talking about skin color, the shade of your skin, okay, you have to realize you are an accumulation of all of your ancestors. Therefore, and mostly because the most ancient of ancestors is within your DNA, particularly the mitochondria DNA, which is passed on through the womb man. Okay? Alright, the men get it, but the men don't get it doesn't get passed on to the man with all the ancestors, the women ancestors, all the way back to the beginning of, who you could say Eve, which means the mother of all living. Okay, but not the Eve out of the Bible that you've been given. That's a false story. They flipped it. The more ancient story is Eve gave birth to Adam. Okay, and then they did all that extra stuff. Anyway, there's no way, and I don't care if you're using the word melanated. Melanated, we all know, is just like a newer word for saying black, basically. And I'm not saying this in any derogatory way. We know that there's only really one group of people that we can call black. And first of all, let me break this down so no one's offended. The 4 original blood types, there are 33 original tribes in the land. This is as far as you can go back and get real information, okay? All the secret societies know this. There were 33 original tribes with 4 original template bloodlines. A, B, AB, and O, okay? Now, as they started intertwining and one person from one tribe may procreate with a person from another tribe, that's where the protein factors that go on top of the red blood cells that are called like RH null or RH negative or RH positive, which just means you have the RH factor. That comes from mixing with the other bloodlines, okay? Nothing wrong with that, because that was actually done as tributes to unite tribes. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. They want you to make you think something's wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, that was actually a way to promote peace back before we were hijacked by this patriarchal system, which began with the story of the Anuna, Anunnaki. Approximately, it's almost going on 7,000 years now. Okay, as far as the full hijacking. Now, if you're still talking about only the melanated people, which we know that most people on here that do it for entertainment, they're basically saying in a nice way, only the black people are the gods of this world, the original man, and this and that. But to rebuttal that, if you go back into every ancient story, except maybe in like, you know, the native African tribes, every single every single etymology, when you dive into it, the original man always goes back to red man. Okay, now what you think is red might differ from what someone else thinks is red. Okay, you might think red is, you know, a burgundy or a dark red, or some people might think it's a red, like a light colored red, or, you know, I don't know. But that's one thing that's clear, that it always goes back to red. Okay, my daughter, look, I have 4 children. The 3 older ones fare more like me, myself. The 4th one, that is about 12 years apart from the last, or the one we thought was our last, she favors more my wife, but she still has a red tint. All right, we call her chocolate strawberry because it's kind of something between me and my wife too. When she was pregnant, something she used to eat when she, you know, pregnant women, you know, they fiend for certain foods and things. So, you know, chocolate strawberry, she's brown and red, has a red tint. Like, I really haven't seen anybody with this skin tone. Man, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. I don't know, but like, I've never seen anybody with her skin tone. So the 4 original templates for man were Mongoloid, dark Caucasoid, which they later, the pale Caucasoid is those that went into the Caucasoid Mountains and came out. The Caucasus Mountains and came out. So, but the original 4 bloodlines was the Mongoloid, the dark Caucasoid, the Amerindic, and the Negroid. So the only real black person, if you want to say black, was actually, if you dig into the elites etymology, it means white. Like, it stands for the same thing as bleach. Almost like if and excuse me for using these words, because I don't use these words. I'm only using these words to get the message across. Now, and I'm doing a lot of things at once, so give me a moment. So the only real tribe that is black would be the Negroids, and the Negroid bloodline, which is out of Africa. Okay, Amerindic is brownish, reddish people. Now, there are people that have lighter skin now because of intertwining with different bloodlines that have traveled. When people started traveling worldwide, that happens. So you ask yourself, the gods of the earth, this and that, who's the native people, who are the aboriginals, who's indigenous to this land. You cannot look at somebody's skin color right now because you're only looking at the last few generations of them. Okay? You're not looking at all of their ancestry. You have not a clue. You don't have a clue that 5 generations ago, this person that has a skin color like myself had someone that you would call black. All right? Women. All right? Not even, in my case, not even that long ago. So what you look at is the fruit. Who is really being called back to nature? So you got people riding around blasting rap music and this and that, and they in the inner cities and they riding around and they got the newest Jordans on, they got all this and that, and they talking about they're indigenous to the land. But you can see the fruit. Those that are indigenous to the land are being called back to the old ways because it's in their DNA. Therefore, we can see clearly who is who just by their fruit and their magnetic pull where they're being pulled to. Okay? It's clear I'm being pulled back to the bush, the woods, the bush, the forest, the jungle, whatever. It depends what continent you're in. But it's always called the bush. Okay? Specifically, in my case, to the mountains. All right? That says a lot about who and where and what your true ancestral past is. All right? Now, when I say this, that still doesn't elaborate who you fully are, because you're an eternal soul. It has to do with your past when it comes to the avatars that your children, your grandchildren, or your great-grandma, your great-great-great-grandma have been coming through the line, the lineage of, okay? And it has a beginning point, all right? There's a lot of doctrine says that, you can be a Chinese man one time and this and that. And, that was placed on my heart years ago, that could be a possibility, maybe for some people. But for most people, that's not going to happen. You're going to come back in or around the same lineage, the DNA that is within you, okay? And it all has to do with the mitochondrial DNA. So basically, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to tell you is, all these people talking about their gods on earth and this and that, but they're still running around doing the same nonsense. They're in the inner cities. They're not trying to start communities off grid. They're not trying to assemble. They're not trying to do anything, but yet they're talking about they're the original people. If you're the original people, that means you should be the first ones that are getting the A-tone, the alpha tonement, the A-tone of the mind, the frequency of the mind. The A-tone means the original tone. And that means you should be trailblazing. You should be ahead of the pack, trailblazing, and we should be following the original people gods of this world. And from my observation, that's simply not happening. Okay? No disrespect to anyone. I'm just stating facts. All right? And it has nothing, I'm not trying to produce some kind of going back and forth about skin color thing. I'm trying to show you how skin color has nothing to do with anything. All right? Your real ancestral DNA is within you. You're only looking at an accumulation of the last 2-3 generations. That's it when you look at somebody, when you see their skin. It might even been just the very last generation. Okay? So take heed to this. I love you, brothers and sisters. Assemble. And I don't want to sound like the movie Transformers, but we have to assemble. We have the right to assemble. And I'm working on it. Love y'all.